A good relationship is like a convection oven, slowly heating up to maintain temperature and consistency. It needs time and patience. You don't want a microwave love. But the Big Three era Celtics were like, F that, we're ramen noodles, nuke for 2 minutes on high, and enjoy. And it was delicious. Let's be real, ramen noodles are bad for you. And let's just say, when things went bad in Boston, well, there was like legendary food poisoning. No doubt the term Big Three is used to describe almost any star trio these days. But the real OGs of the modern version of famous trios?
Okay.
The Parquet Posse. The Three Basketeers.
Barrage et Trois. It's French.
Or we can go with the Three Amigos.
Pierce, Garnett, Allen. These three would return the Celtics to the land of Larry for the first time in 22 years. Revamping an NBA blue blood, reinvigorating the idea that Boston was a basketball town, and recharging one of the greatest rivalries in league history. And while the finale was super bitter, the beginning was just so sweet. The year 2007, the Celtics had just disappointingly landed the 5th spot in the NBA lottery, despite having a league second worst record. So a month later, they traded that pick and these guys to Seattle for Ray Allen. Allen's scoring ability would be a boon for a Celtics offense that ranked 22nd in scoring the season before. But Danny Ainge had a nickname to live up to, and on July 31st, he also landed.
Well, Kevin Garnett is officially set to take up residence in Boston, and he's also signed a 3-year extension, meaning he's locked into Celtic green for the next 5 years.
Probably my best opportunity of winning the ring, so I took the big steps to make those adjustments, and here we are, wearing number 5.
All while simultaneously keeping Paul Pierce in town.
People don't know I was almost out of Boston.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask in 2007. Tell me about that. I wanted to ask
I was almost out
that.
of Boston, dog. I'm like, I'm in my prime, and we losing. We not getting to the playoffs. I was like, man, y'all should trade me. Draft Kevin Durant, tank the year, and build on out. So I thought I was really trying to get to Dallas. So people don't even know I was trying to get to Dallas.
Really?
Just like that, a team that won 24 games just 3 months prior were the early favorites to rep the East in the finals.
I think it immediately puts them in the upper echelon of the East. Listen, here's what the Celtics have decided. The youth movement is over. We've got a 2 or 3 year window. We're going for it now.
The 07 season sounds like the start of a joke. A ticket, a truth, and Jesus walk into a garden. Only the punchline was not funny at all. They were seriously kicking everybody's ass.
When they see us coming, another team see us coming on the other end, they'll definitely be afraid because you got to pick your poison.
And that didn't stop. In the first round of the playoffs,
Hawks gave the Celtics everything they could handle up until Game 7. But in the end, Kevin Garnett and the Celtics just blowing the Hawks out here in the building.
or the second,
Won't go. Smith the rebound. Back out. Stolen by House, and that'll do it. The Celtics are going back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2002.
or the conference finals.
A celebration in Boston tonight. It's been a long time. The Celtics going back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1987.
And in a finals matchup, 21 years in the making, that most perfect union consummated their relationship.
The greatest single-season turnaround in NBA history is complete. Banner number 17, soon to be raised to the rafters.
In turn, solidifying the goal of every nosy parent who oversteps their boundaries when it comes to their kid's personal life. God, I suppose...
Anything's possible!
Yes, 2 years later, Kobe got his payback, but the C's brass assured that the throuple became more than just a fling, steering this toward becoming a committed, long-term relationship. They re-signed Ray Allen that summer to a 2-year deal worth markedly less money than the one they inherited. All of this despite the lure of a new temptress in Miami. And wouldn't you know, the new big three of Bosh, Wade, and LeBron would end the Celtics title run the next 2 seasons in a row, with this being the last time we'd see Ray Allen in Celtics green.
The Miami Heat are going back to the NBA Finals.
The Breakup. Spoiler alert, Ray Allen would leave the Celtics in free agency that summer and take his talents to Miami. But the why is where this conscious uncoupling gets interesting. Oh my God, I just quoted Gwyneth Paltrow in an NBA story.
It seemed to be an animus that was aimed in your direction from what you describe as a pure business decision.
We had our issues, there's no question about that, but every team has their issues. We argue, we fight, we fuss, this person thinks he could do it this way. It's just part of sports, but it's not personal.
You can understand the animosity. Why would Ray Allen join a Heat team that ended the Celtics' title hopes 2 years running and do it for markedly less money?
They did offer you more money than the Miami Heat now.
Because before you say the Miami Heat, it was about my negotiations with the Boston Celtics, which we started throughout that year. We wanted a contract throughout that whole year, and we wanted to make sure the three of us retired together. They had signed everybody else contractually, and then when it came time to me, it was like, this is all we have left for you.
What Allen described as a business decision, some in the media would call a personal one, in particular with the guy who turned the big three into a foursome.
Rondo and I had a blow up in the locker room, but he had a blow up with Doc. He had a blow up with KC. It wasn't personal. It's just part of who we are and what we do.
How did backcourt bros become mortal enemies? Well, according to then teammate Kendrick Perkins, it all started with a trade rumor.
At the time, Chris Paul was on the trading block. He had wanted out of New Orleans. And of course, the caliber player, he was an MVP type player. You have to entertain it. But Ray was one of the people that entertained it. And it got back to Rondo.
Things eventually got so toxic, the team brought boxing gloves to practice.
I got the gloves, and I went up against Patrick O'Brien. Tony Allen went against Big Baby, and Rondo went against Ray. And I'll tell you one thing: the punches they were throwing at each other weren't friendly.
According to Ray Allen, as outlined in his 2018 book, bravado in part soured him on Rondo, who allegedly claimed the Celtics wouldn't have won the 2008 chip without him and wanted the title of leader without putting in the work to earn it.
Shots fired, shots fired, shots fired.
Full disclosure, what normal marriage does not involve a certain amount of infighting, right? Like you wake up to the same face every single morning. At some point, you're gonna be tired of looking at it. But before you pull the plug, typically you go to counseling, and that's Paul Pierce's biggest gripe is he felt like they just got ghosted.
I was calling them they was in the middle of contract negotiating with him, Celtics, before he left, and he wouldn't answer nobody's call. And I'm hearing that he's talking about going to my, so I'm calling him, he's not returning my call. I just feel like as a certain respect, as a teammate, as a brother, we could have this conversation. Like, if you not want to play with us no more, at least let us know something.
Word.
Like, give me a holler. Like, bro, it's a situation. I'm going to go over here. But to just don't say nothing to us, don't talk to us, and then get up and go over there, to me, I felt that was like a slap in the face or a disrespect from a brother.
Mm-hmm.
Adding insult to injury, that year the Celtics sputtered to a first-round playoff loss with Rondo sidelined with an ACL tear. Then they watched their former boo work that same magic for their rivals in South Beach.
James catches, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
The next season, the disbanding continued, with the core shipped to Brooklyn or dissolved into picks. Allen fared better in what would be his final season in the sport. He and the Heat returned to the finals before being dominated by the Spurs. But the winds of change didn't quell the fire of animus between Allen and his former ride-or-dies. While planning a 10-year championship reunion vacation, Ray Allen was left off the invite list, with Rondo telling the undefeated Mark Spears that he called and reached out to a couple of other vets and asked them what they wanted to do with the situation. They told me to stick with what we got without Allen. And it looked like Allen wanted all the smoke when on Paul Pierce's jersey retirement night, he posted a pic of himself golfing instead of attending with the rest of his former teammates. But a couple days later, he did acknowledge the man of the hour, who later said the hatchet was buried.
Since then, me and him have talked. And, you get everything as brothers. I don't have no problem with Ray today.
Right.
I don't know the situation with Kevin and Rondo and everybody else, but I'll smooth things over with him.
The truth is, we never got that carefully crafted statement that although this marriage is ending, all interested parties want to remain friends. You know what? Maybe we never will, like Chris Webber and his Fab Five teammates. But then again, who foresaw Isaiah Thomas and Magic Johnson sitting on two stools and undoing decades of bitterness? In summation, if there's one bright spot to all of this, apart from the ring, of course, it's that the next time your mom calls you and says she should pick your partner because she knows you the best, you can show her this clip. Because if it doesn't come about organically, it's tainted love. Dun dun, tainted love. Dun, got to dun dun, get away.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.